To say that Portia Lippincott had a bit of a rough takeoff early on in life is an understatement. Homeless at 17 and literally living in a refrigerator box, she was desperate for a new direction. And with some help from others and a lot of initiative of her own, Portia's life and career.
This video is made possible by CuriosityStream. Watch any of their more than 2,000 documentaries for free by visiting curiositystream.com/reallifeLore. In the very early morning hours of the 22nd of September 1979, something weird happened in the waters of the South Indian Ocean that has puzzled experts ever since. An American satellite orbiting above, known as Vela Hotel 6911, detected a bright double flash of light below that seemed to be indicative of a nuclear explosion. Whenever a nuclear bomb is detonated, there is an initial extremely intense but brief burst of light, followed by a longer and less intense light afterwards. This is a key signature for differentiating a nuclear explosion from any other kind of man-made or natural phenomenon. But the weird part was, the explosion seemed to be located in one of the most remote parts of the planet, somewhere around here in the Indian Ocean between Africa and Antarctica, and between the Crozet Islands owned by France and the Prince Edward Islands owned by South Africa. Further, a typhoon was active around that area at the time, which seemed to suggest that whoever did detonate a nuclear bomb there was trying to keep it a secret from the rest of the world. Almost immediately upon detection by the Vela satellite, the United States and NATO began investigating who may have conducted this secret and mysterious test. The U.S. Air Force flew no less than 25 sorties over the area over the next few weeks to collect atmospheric samples. The UN Security Council concluded that the event was very likely of nuclear origin, while meanwhile in the United States, the Carter administration convened a panel of scientists and experts to determine what the event actually was, and if it was nuclear, who was to blame for it. However, after going through the data, this panel curiously came to the conclusion that the Vela incident, as it was getting to be known, was most likely caused by a natural event. The report has been declassified since, so you can check it out for yourself, but they theorized that perhaps a micrometeoroid had struck the Vela satellite and caused it to only appear to detect a double flash in the Indian Ocean instead. Largely, this was because the panel failed to discover any corroborating evidence for a nuclear detonation. They pointed out that the ratio of intensities between the first and the second flashes of the supposed explosion didn't match up with the ratio of actual nuclear explosions that had been measured accurately. The US sorties over the area failed to produce any evidence of nuclear fallout, and a US-led team studying wind patterns failed to detect any levels of radiation down on the surface. Thus, the Carter administration ruled that while they couldn't entirely prove that it wasn't a nuclear explosion, they considered it much more likely that a natural phenomenon was to blame. And soon around that time, the UN Security Council adjusted their position to inconclusive on whether or not a secret nuclear test had actually been conducted. There was, of course, significant evidence to suggest, though, that the nuclear test actually did take place. The Vela satellite system together had successfully detected 41 previous atmospheric nuclear tests across the world after all. And further, the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico was able to detect an ionospheric anomaly traveling from the epicenter of the supposed detonation site. While an American study failed to come up with any radioactive fallout that would have been produced by such an explosion, an Australian study did. Scientists at the Los Alamos Observatory also voiced their belief that the sensors aboard the Vela satellite that detected the anomaly were not malfunctioning, while several other scientists have come forward claiming that the Carter administration panel's finding of a natural occurrence was politically motivated. There are journalists who claim that every successive US administration since then has deliberately covered up the truth of what the Vela incident actually was, while several modern studies conducted as recently as 2016 and 2018 attribute the cause to definitely being a nuclear bomb detonation. So if it's true, why hasn't the United States or anybody else just come out and said definitively what the Vela incident was? And who was actually responsible for secretly detonating a nuclear bomb back in 1979? The answer is maybe because, well, the answer would be awkward. Based on the geography of where the test took place, most researchers seem to believe that it was a nuclear test conducted by apartheid-era South Africa, or Israel, or both of their governments cooperating together. Israel is widely believed to have a nuclear weapons program that began in the late 1940s, but it's extremely murky territory. Israel has, after all, never confirmed nor denied the existence of their nuclear weapons, and it's never been known when, where, or even if Israel has actually tested any of their potential nukes. Cooperating with South Africa and testing a nuclear bomb in a faraway corner of the world would make sense for such a secretive program, but what would have been in it for South Africa? Well, at the time, South Africa was embroiled in a war against Angola and communist Cuba, who were receiving supplies from the Soviet Union. Due to South Africa's apartheid racial discrimination policies, their government was shunned by much of the rest of the world, and a UN arms embargo had recently been passed against them. It was hard for the apartheid regime to find friends in the world, but they found friends in the Israelis, who were speculated to have cooperated together on their nuclear weapons research. Israel wanted nukes as a deterrent against their Arab neighbors, while South Africa wanted them as a deterrent against communists in Angola and Cuba. South Africa did, in fact, develop 6 functioning atomic bombs. But after the fall of apartheid, they made that fact publicly disclosed and dismantled all of them. However, the modern South African nation has still never admitted to any nuclear test conducted on the 22nd of September 1979, and neither, for that matter, has Israel. The US may have known about this test for decades, but has avoided publicly sharing this information because it would politically complicate relations with both South Africa and/or Israel, both ostensibly allies of the United States. Building evidence over the years has been particularly damning, though. A former South African naval commander convicted of spying for the Soviets has claimed that the Vela incident was indeed a top-secret joint South African and Israeli nuclear test, conducted at a time and a place where they believed that they wouldn't get caught by anybody. So maybe they did get caught, or maybe it was actually just something weird and natural that happened instead. A lot of questions still remain unsolved about the Vela incident, and we may never learn the truth behind what actually happened that day. But in a way, that's kind of what makes the Vela incident and other mysteries so interesting. The fact that you don't know all of the answers and the possibility that one day you might. So if you're like me and you love learning everything you can about strange, unsolved mysteries in the world, you can learn a lot more from the comfort of your phone or your PC in your own home by checking out CuriosityStream next. CuriosityStream is the first streaming service that exclusively streams documentaries and educational videos. So if you like watching poorly made educational videos on this channel, you'll love professionally made ones over there that I love, like David Attenborough's Light on Earth film, or The Enigma Man, a story about one of the Stone Age's greatest mysteries. CuriosityStream was created by the founders of the Discovery Channel and is available worldwide on the web, Android, iOS, and tons of other platforms. They have documentaries and content spanning science, nature, history, technology, society, and lifestyle. So, basically everything that I make videos about and love. Unlimited access to watch all of their videos begins at $2.99 per month, but you can watch everything on CuriosityStream for free when you visit the link in the description at curiositystream.com/reallifelore and by using the code reallifelore during the sign-up process. So please make sure to go ahead and watch their stuff next, and as always, thank you for watching.
Hello everyone, my name is Cap and welcome back to the channel. Another 7 Days That I video. We're doing all this in Alpha 18 and this is the experimental build. So if you get some different situations later on down the road after it becomes stable build or some of the stats change or whatever, just do keep that in mind. And in this video I'm going to show you guys the junk turret. This was something that was added in Alpha 18. Fantastic tool. Really do enjoy this turret here. And as you can see, right at the moment it is in sentry mode, but with the junk turret you can pick it up and carry it around and use it like a regular gun. And you also have to pick it up to be able to reload it. But when you decide you want to place it down, you just right click, you get the little green indicator, right click again, and it goes into sentry mode. And one great thing about the turret, the junk turret, is that you don't have to have a power source. It's self-functioning. It works day or night. And the only downside that you have to keep in mind is that it has a proximity. So if you walk too far away, you can see it goes to sleep. So you have to be within a certain distance. We'll test out and see what that kind of distance is later on. But for the most part, I'm going to show you guys how this works, and then we're going to do a couple of tests with it. So, the junk turret can be found or it can be made. Now, if you're going to find one, chances are you're going to find them in places like the Shotgun Messiah boxes or some of the large safes. Those are the ones I found. Now, I have seen a couple level 2s pop up, but I've seen a lot of level 1s as far as what people are finding. So you can actually find these. But if you do want to craft one, here's a couple things you have to keep in mind. For starters, you have to have the proper perk for it here. So we'll go into junk turret here. And one of the nice things about Alpha 18 is when you're trying to craft something, you can click right underneath the quantity here, and it'll take you to the perk that you're going to need to be able to make it. Underneath intellect skill tree, now you see one that says turret syndrome. You have to be able to buy the first one. Science projects takes 1 skill point. In order to be able to buy this one, you have to have your intellect all the way down here in level 6. Start off in level 1, of course, so you're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because to get into 6 requires 2 skill points, so you're going to need 6 here, and then you're going to need 1 more skill point here. So you can get this fairly early in the game. Where you're going to run into some problems with crafting it is getting the necessary supplies, because you do have to have a workbench to make it, and you're going to need the schematic. That's right, if you didn't already know, schematics were added back into the game, so you're going to have to be able to find the schematic, use it to learn how to be able to craft it. Then what you're going to need is you're going to need junk turret parts, forged iron, duct tape, scrap polymer, and springs. Now, junk turret parts, as far as everything goes right this very second while I'm recording this video, you can't find them. I've not been able to find them anywhere. The only way you can get junk turret parts is by taking one of the junk turrets you found and scrapping it, and that will give you junk turret parts, which you get in this stack right here. Now, the quantity and the amount of junk turret parts doesn't change the quality of when you make it. When you get ready to build this thing, you can see it takes 3. But it doesn't matter the quality of the turret. When you take it apart, you're still going to get basic junk parts. So whether it's a level 1 or a level 5 laying around, you junk it, you're going to get the same parts. That's not going to affect the build at all. So where you're going to run into problems is finding a junk turret to start with that you can scrap, and then forged iron. Of course, you're going to need a forge, or get lucky enough to find it, or possibly buy it from a trader. Duct tape you can make, scrap polymers you can find pretty much anywhere, and springs aren't too bad. Those are things that you can find relatively quickly. So you may not be able to get this as a first day build, but it shouldn't take you too long to actually make one of these. Now, something to keep in mind is with the junk turret, it is automatic here. So if I go ahead and say I'll spawn in Sylvia here just to show you guys what it looks like, you can see it will continue to shoot until the zombie goes down, even if they go on the ground. It doesn't hit 100% of the time, just like regular turrets does. So it's going to shoot just kind of wild. Now, in order to be able to reload the turret, you have to pick it back up, put it into your toolbar, and then you hit the R button to reload like you normally would in your gun. Then you can place it back down. Now, the ammo that the junk turret uses is just called junk turret ammo. You don't have to have a workbench to make this. It's very simple. All you have to do is find iron. They renamed it. It's no longer called scrap iron. It's just called iron. It takes 3 to make 1 bullet, so you can see it is a little bit pricey, but you can literally find iron all over the place. Take apart an air conditioning unit on the roof or beside a house, and you can take apart cars and all kinds of filing cabinets. You can get scrap iron everywhere. So it's not hard to find. It just requires a lot of it to be able to make any kind of ammo, but it crafts it relatively quickly. Versus the junk turret, when you craft that, it takes almost 7.5 minutes. Now here's something else you have to keep in mind, is that you can only have 1 active at a time. Now you can place more than 1 down, like this, but you'll see whichever one you're closest to is the only one that's active. So if I scooch over here, it's going to go active, then that one goes to sleep, and scooch back and forth. So if you're wanting to use this to try and cover your back, you can only have 1 at a time. So it would behoove you just to pretty much keep only 1 with you, unless you just wanted to have one, proximity around a specific room that you're going to be moving in. Now, something I know some people have asked me about when I was looking into this turret is whether or not it will go after animals like bear. So let's spawn it in. We'll get a regular bear and see what it does here. See if it can take down a bear before it gets over here and kills me. As you can see, it's shooting the bear and it's causing it to stun a little bit, so it's keeping it from advancing too far on it. It's doing quite a bit of damage as is, but we'll see if it can take it out. So it did manage to take it out, and the bear didn't go after the turret itself. Now, it used a lot of ammo to be able to take out the bear, but for those wondering whether or not you can kill a bear with an auto turret, yes, you can, and you can take out zombies too, and the other wildlife, the coyote and the bobcat that was just added, the mountain lion, those also work. Now, something else that's been interestingly enough to have me test out here, we're going to try out a demolition zombie. Now, I've done a video on these already covering how they work, but what we need to do is we're going to spawn this bad boy in and then turn him off real quick so that he stands still. That was what we're going to test right there, is whether or not the turret could actually trigger the explosion. Because detonation zombies, or demolition zombies I guess is what they're actually called, you can kill them completely without them exploding. They only go off when you hit the no-no button on their chest and it goes from green to red. So some people had asked, well, what if you have a turret set up and one of these bad boys walks into the base will it possibly set it off? And yes, it showed right there that it did. It shot it, triggered the button, and it went off. But if you did see right there, when he blew a small crater, it blew out the wood that was underneath it. It dropped the turret, and it just placed it back on the ground. So that is one of those things that is absolutely fantastic. Is if you do happen to have this sitting up on top of, let's say, a couple frames, and you go ahead and pick it up real quick, it'll slowly lower itself to the ground and then place it there again. So if you have it placed and a block gets blown out underneath it, you're not going to accidentally come back and see your turret has been destroyed. So that is absolutely wonderful. Alright, so now we'll test